a journalist actually went too far, then some of them were threatened physically. These threats, in fact, could have been carried out. Fortunately, they never were. Journalists at that time, including myself, kept well away from them, really.
The Krays inspired this fear until the bitter end.
Right from day one, the tension inside that court was electrifying. I mean, it was quite frightening physically to be so close to them. On the press bench in that particular court, you're literally only an arm away from the dock. And I remember vividly sitting in that dock, and I was on my own because most of the press boys had gone out to file copy, and I just happened to be sitting there at a particularly dull part of the proceedings. And I remember looking up and seeing Ronnie staring at me, just staring. I mean, it was really frightening. He just stood for a minute, 2 minutes, and I knew he was staring at me.
Well, it was something that was very difficult to appreciate until and unless you saw the way it acted upon people and upon people's minds. People that had been the victims of this fear for a number of years were just physically wrecked and ruined. They were financially ruined, and it was very, very difficult to persuade people to give evidence against some organisation that had exerted this fear for such a long time.
For over a decade, the Krays ruled in East London. These days, you won't hear any talk about protection rackets, frauds, murders. The firm is dead. One of the few reminders of their reign is Polici's Cafe, still just the same as it was in the days when the Krays used to hold court over breakfast. But even though they're gone, the twins still continue to hold a peculiar fascination for many Londoners. It's as though they still have a presence in the East End, and in some ways, they do. We approached several witnesses to the Krays' grip on East London, but many of them refused to talk. I want to forget the past. I don't want to think about the Krays. I don't want my house burnt down. People around here don't know I was involved with the Krays. I prefer to keep it that way. The Krays now claim that they've turned their backs on the past. They won't be coming back down here to claim their old manor. They say they've served 22 years in prison and now all they want is a quiet life.
They grew up with hard men. They had two grandfathers. Instead of being nice, polite, normal men, might work on the railway or on the roads or whatever, they were both ex-boxers, so that's how they were taught that to be hard was the way you survive. They were also influenced by gangster films. They used to pay their little sixpence to go into the cinema, and I think later in life that's where they got the clothes idea from. They didn't want to work like their father. They went to Billingsgate Market, and that didn't last very long. Getting up at 5 in the morning and being there at 5:45 and wearing dirty old trousers. Coming in, they didn't possess a dirty pair of old trousers and an old jacket. So that's how they grew up. Could go and earn a living, but they didn't want to. They wanted to do it in the way they always saw themselves, as something bigger and better than the boys they grew up with. When I first knew them, I could hear Ronnie upstairs shouting and screaming, like absolutely hysterical. And she'd go out to the bottom of the stairs and say, "Reggie, Reggie!" And Reggie would come out on the landing She wouldn't call Ronnie, she'd call Reggie as he took his medication. What's the matter? It's all right, Mum, it's all right. Yeah, he's going to take it now. She knew that medication calmed him down. The twins used to have the most terrible scraps. I saw it happen. One afternoon I was there, right outside the front door. They started in the hall, shouting at each other, and then went outside, and Ronnie hit him. Me and Violet went to the window, and oh my God, Violet, they're fighting. She'll go out in a minute. But they really fought each other as though they wanted to kill each other. Judy Garland they had in the club, and then they took her round to Valence Road. Oh my God. Can you imagine when she told me, Mrs. Kray, guess who came here? I said, no, I've met Judy Garland. And I sat her down and I gave her a cup of tea. And Ronnie said, you know what that song you sang in the film, that's my mother's favourite song. Somewhere. And she'd say, oh, your mum don't want to hear me sing. You know, there's no music or anything, not that she needed it. And she sat down and sang Over the Rainbow for Mrs. Kray.
Celebrities were attracted to the Kray twins, there is no doubt about that at all. They had a definite appeal and they loved all that.
The night of the premiere of Sparrows Can't Sing, they held the party at the Kentucky Club, and I was behind the bar, and they all marched in, and everyone was, they was all like that. And it was a lovely evening.
The Krays were extremely violent people, but there's a glamour to crime as much as there is a glamour to somebody from the theatre or film. And it's clear that certain people saw it as a badge of honour to have their picture with the Krays, as much as the Krays saw it as having a picture with them.
And people didn't come running in with information unless it was to their benefit.
Because there was so little respect for the law itself, many EastEnders were unwilling to call on the police to investigate even serious crimes.
They're a community of their own. They've lived hard, they've had a hard time, but it was their ethics and a code of honour that you didn't normally grasp.
But this code of honour exposed the community to exploitation by professional criminals who turned it to their own advantage. In the East End, the law that was enforced was often the law of the Kray twins, Ronnie and Reggie.
The twins ran that part of London like an iron rod. There was nothing that went on in that East End that they didn't know about. If there was a wrongdoing, get off the manor, because they would come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Well, you know they keep saying about protection, they was running the protection racket. It wasn't actually like it sounds. They would go into a place and say, if you don't give me we'll look after you, if you don't pay this, you'll be in trouble and all that. People actually used to go to them and want them to look after it, and let it be known that they was looking after a place. Actually, I suppose it is a protection racket in a way, but it was worked on a different basis. People used to go to them and ask them to look after them.
There were lots of people that were walking into pubs that were taking a lot of money in those days. Remember, we were talking about the early 60s, when live music and good entertainment was throughout the East End, throughout every part of London. and protection money was being asked for, and therefore rather than pay 3, 4, 5, 10 bullies, it's better to go and ask Ronnie and Reggie Kray, could you just appear for 10 minutes or have 1 or 2 drinks in our pub on a Saturday night. Once it was known as a pub that the Krays used, then that publican didn't have any more trouble.
They only went into people that were breaking the law. You know, that if you had a publican who was having a laugh to timer, then they could go into him. Or if they had a club where they were doing illegal gambling, dice, spieling or something like that, they would go into them if they want their whack. But no way could they ever go into straight people. Because first, if they come into you, the first thing you do is pick the phone up, give it the police. And that was it.
Ronnie would have done it all again. The difference between Reg and Ronnie would have been a gangster if you put Ronnie Kray in America, France, Germany, anywhere you want.
Yeah, we're breaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I lost my girl, I lost my fun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I killed my baby, feel so bad, and I guess my race is run. She's the best girl I ever had. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the yeah, we're robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I killed my baby, feel so bad, and I guess my race is run. She's the best girl I ever had. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the I fought the law and the law won. 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 I fought the law.